Getting back to the topic of my YouTube channel, yesterday, what was it? The 11th? Yes, December 11th. There was quite a raid on it. I don't regret it, but about 25 to 30 bots joined in. They all had the exact same text, and this same text, well, each of them maybe dropped a couple of words or added a couple, but it was a good long message, not a short one. They started spamming it at me. So it was an obvious bot raid. Each one had the same text. This happened before, you probably remember. It was in 23, I think. I don't remember exactly. When some Tokareva, yes, Victoria, what was her name? Well, anyway, some Tokareva did the same thing to me. She was a former poetess, not a very successful one. And when it comes to these people who never made it, who are part of some glamorous exotic circles, back then the KGB would take note of them. Friends, I was shielded from all of that. But they, as the lower strata of society, were subjected to these kinds of KGB attacks. That's why I know, because I was kind of looking at this situation from above, understanding it perfectly well. I had a mentor, my uncle, an intelligence officer, who taught me many things. I never joined any society. He taught me that. Never sign any papers. My uncle taught me that too. You see, it's good when someone catches you on the fly at such a young age, even though back then I understood very little. You know, I was foolish. I pushed a lot of things away from myself. So I know that Svetlana or whoever, no. What kind of Victoria Tokareva? That they took her back then? Put her on the radar? Got her on the hook? Usually this happens at parties, sex, some unconventional parties. That's when they hook girls and boys. We have a lot of those now. Nowadays, by the way. They lead or try to lead some small groups of people. And she was among them. I just remember some things from back in those days. The 70s, my friends. All of that is still remembered. And that these people were already hooked back then. The KGB, that's remembered too. You don't remember, you don't care. But I have sharp eyes, actually. Like an eagle, I fly over the country and its problems, and I see everything. And this Tokareva too. When I mentioned her in 2023, she's about 70. She, well, announced something about me at some meeting and sent her bots after me. It was clear back then. And she also sent a couple of messages, and all of them, well, they're dumb. You know, they're dumb. That's why they're all like carbon copies. She had 3 messages that were sent to me. First one, then another, then a third. And it was obvious when there were 70 people all sending the same message. So it was clear. So yesterday it was the same thing. I was attacked by bots from Russia Peunova. I assume friends. Of course, I can never know for sure. They kept writing and writing, complaining about everything. This they didn't like, that they didn't like. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't care less what they don't like. But they wanted to draw your attention, friends, to the things they don't like, you see? And I have to say, be careful now with all the clubs, with all the societies. Don't join them. They're bad for you, a real pain in the neck. You have to understand, they're going to sell you out. Keep tabs on everyone. Everyone who joins Russia Peunova for some kind of non-existent Rus. There never was any Rus at all. There wasn't even such a word as Rus. So what are you fighting for? What are you doing in her group? So you latched onto the party and are trying to do something. Russia Peunova, our president, an old lady who can't even string 2 words together. And what about her brains? Do they work the same way? I mean, this woman, this old lady, is under the KGB's thumb, which means at some point she was also under their surveillance. Well, that's obvious, friends. You just don't know it. I am a specialist in national security and actually in public administration. I know it like the back of my hand how it's done. But I don't join any parties, and I never join anyone. This is my strength and advantage. But those who join, they will remember Navalny? Navalny, like strikebreaker, went out to the square, called everyone together, and there were all the kids. They beat them with clubs. And he left 3 minutes after the start of the rally. They allegedly put him in jail. In short, the heavily armed guards took control of him and took him away from the square. And everyone else was beaten up. Well, basically, strike breaking is happening now with Russia Peunova too. So be careful, stay alert. I'm not advising. I don't care. I wouldn't even be talking about her now if they hadn't attacked me yesterday. That's why I'm saying, don't do it. Although I never thought I was so popular with that little group. Half-educated people, yeah, I didn't think I was so popular that they'd attack me. Of course, it's funny on the one hand, but on the other hand, I even feel a bit proud. It's kind of, I never thought I'd be counted among those people. I guess, yeah, it's important to them. Politics is such a thing, kind of absurd on the one hand. Well, what else can you say about politics that frankly doesn't even exist, right? But there are people who need to be imprisoned under Article 58, just like it was under Stalin. Now, it's a different article, but it doesn't matter. It's all the same. Article 58 is still in effect. But how do you identify it? How do they pin the stigma of Article 58 on you? That's exactly how they'll pin it on you. Nail it down. Well, you were in Peunova's group, some woman or other, who doesn't understand anything about politics, absolutely nothing. She writes these texts, memorizes them, recites them, but it's all such nonsense, such vulgarity, honestly. You see, life here is different, but all we get is the same old stuff, old mothballed junk. Like this coat riddled with moth holes, squirrel fur or whatever, maybe rat, right? Here it is, moth-eaten, coming out, and you have to... Listen, do you really think it's that great? She says it, and she's right, she says it. I'll tell you again, Russia's never existed. The whole history is just made up. Made up, of course, by the Jews. Because, well, let them be proud of the Jews. They've messed with the heads of all the peoples. Yes, they destroyed many peoples. Well, they took everything under their control, but they managed to do it. Then who else was able to do that? Tell me, who else managed to do it? No one else needs that? They, yes, guided by a big global government, and they completely erased all of history, erased it. There was no Tartary, remember that? This word, the Tatar? Tatar is a modern word. It was created during Stalin's time. There was no Tartary, there was no Russia. But you consider me to be of Tatar descent? I am not of Tatar descent, I am of Khan descent. I am from the Kasimov Tsars. I am from the Tsars, from Tsar Arslan and the Prophet. And in general, friends, you don't need to call me a Tatar because, to be honest, I have nothing to do with the Tatars. As for what Stalin did back then, he lumped everyone together and painted them all with the same brush. Well, that's your business, if you believe in all that. For me, history is different. I know my own history. Do you know your history? You don't even know who your grandparents are. And weren't you, or rather, were you abandoned to your parents in the maternity hospitals? You don't know that either. And this is, what a big question. I am Tanya Karatsuba, Side Burkan. December 12th, 2025.